episode 1 of the Tipping Point podcast, and I'm super excited to have you, Oscar, in the studio here. I haven't seen you. I mean, gosh, was that since Harris Cafe about?
Was it last year?
Was it like 8 months ago?
No, I would say it was probably 12 months ago. I think it was around this time.
This guy walks in a pea coat and he's like just like movie star billionaire.
You do rock the pea coats. I've seen it on the Louisville Instagram.
Just looking great, walking in there. And but anyways, we're super happy to have you in the studio because this is a new adventure for us too.
Yeah.
And talking about decision making, and it really opens up the world between, pro athletes and what that means to be an athlete, because a lot of people don't necessarily understand. They watch people on TV or they watch people from the stands, and they don't understand how many decisions built up exponentially to get you on the field, not, completely injured, right?
Yeah.
And so we're gonna step through your story, and I'm excited to have you here today for episode 1.
Cool, man. I'm excited to be here. I like kind of chatting.
Awesome. So I'm gonna read through your accolades, your stats.
Thank you. I don't want to do that myself.
So Oscar, just so anyone listening to this, he's a professional soccer player for Louisville City F.C, which is in the USL division below the MLS. And so let me just start back at your career at Western Washington University, which is a Division II school. You played from 2008 to 2011. Man, you're old.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I really am.
So as a freshman, you were at 18 and 19 matches, scoring 5 goals, 5 assists. As the Vikings won the GNAC regular season championship for only the second time in history. Taking you way back here now, huh?
Yeah.
As a sophomore, all 20 games, scoring 6 goals and a team leading 6 assists, named to both all GNAC first and West Region All-Star second teams. As a junior, again, you starred in 18 matches while leading the team with 7 assists, scoring 4 goals. After that season, named to the all GNAC first team. And then as a senior, you appeared in 17 matches while scoring 2 goals with a team leading 5 assists, being named to the all GNAC second team after the season. You left WW Western as the team's all-time leader in assists, as well as being in the top 10 in points, goals, and minutes played. Not a bad collegiate career there.
No, as a center mid, and that's a huge deal. That's what you want from your center mid. For those people that are listening to this that don't know soccer that well, your center mid scoring goals, that's a big deal. But like just remembering playing with you on the field, hardest working player on the field. You can run forever. Can you still jump? Like
I cannot jump. I don't think I could jump back then either.
You'd find ways.
I find ways. Yeah.
So
definitely.
Just for people that don't know soccer that well, or for people that are listening that do know, that's a huge deal to not only play that many games and stay in the game that long. So stamina through the roof, but also scoring goals is a big deal for a midfielder, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And then after Western, you played in the PDL with Seattle Sounders FC U23s, and then turned professional in 2015 with the USL Tulsa Roughnecks. I've actually been to Tulsa. Yeah. I didn't know that until I was looking this up. And then in 2016, you suited up for Mississippi Brilla FC of the PDL before a successful trial led to your first contract with Louisville City FC, which you are still currently with. Yeah. And then since joining Louisville in 2017, you've tallied 32 assists, and you are the club's all-time leading assist leader. Yeah.
Leading assist
leader.
So you do lead the leader.
So you pass the ball good. You're also you guys won the championship in 2017 and 2018 for Louisville, and then last season you made 21 appearances. We were talking before, got injured last year, so maybe we'll dive into that. And then it looks like you will return to Louisville for a 7th campaign after signing a new contract just recently in the offseason.
Yeah, going for my 7th.
And also, about Louisville, I want to just give some context for people too. I mean, this is, you guys play in the USL, which is the league under the MLS. Louisville is, arguably one of the best teams in the USL, right? I mean, this is not a bottom of the bracket team where, you're riding the bench. I mean, I was looking at this in 2017, 2018, you guys won the USL. In 2019, you guys were the runner-ups. 2020, 2021 semifinalists. And 2022, just this last season, were also runner-ups.
Yeah.
I was looking average attendance, 10,465 fans.
Is that different than 300 people at Western games?
Yeah.
So different. It's actually the coolest. So when I first got there, we started playing on a baseball field. So like it was the local. There was like I don't know what it's called, 3A baseball team, but we played at that stadium, and then in 2020 they built us a stadium, which is I think the capacity of 14 plus, 14 almost 15,000.
Wow.
But in 2020, obviously COVID year, we played with an empty stadium for a little bit, and it was weird. But when we finally were able to get fans in there, let me tell you, playing soccer in a full packed stadium is amazing.
Yeah.
Does it just get completely like deafening loud? Is it wild?
It is pretty loud. I feel like there's still more noise to be had. Like
5,000 more seats.
Yeah. I feel like it could be louder for sure.
So that's a challenge to all the Louisville fans.
Yeah.
This next season, we want it to be the loudest.
I'm not saying they're not loud. I'm just saying it could be louder. You know.
Well, you pack in an extra 5,000 people. I mean, maybe we'll have to fly out for a game.
Yeah, just Dylan in the stands,
right?
And me and Dylan.
Let's charge it to the Tipping Point podcast credit card. You know, let's get out there. We got to see him in his natural habitat. But so I just read through all your accolades, right? When you're looking through, and by the way, Oscar's on Wikipedia. You got a blue check mark on Instagram.
Wow.
I mean, I'm feeling pretty like a shining light over here. It's pretty. I don't know. I want to get a Wikipedia page.
Oh my gosh.
But it looks easy, right? When you're looking at the Wikipedia page, when I'm reading through the stats, clearly you were the best player on, a lot of these teams that you played on. But give us from, even start at high school to kind of right now, signing that 7th year contract, fill in those gaps, right? Because I know it's not easy going from high school to playing for Western, having those incredible stats, then your journey to signing that professional contract, and then also staying on board with Louisville for 7 years. Kind of walk us through that and walk through, the listeners so they can hear kind of what that looks like.
Okay. Well, like Leo was saying something about me he thought like, I was able to run everywhere or run forever. Well, that was one thing I, took to kind of heart when I was younger in high school, because I'm not the biggest guy, I'm 5'8". And in high school, I think I was 140 pounds. Like I wasn't very big. And so not very strong, not very big. So I figured I needed to do something to take me more like than the regular player. So that if that was being able to run the entire match without getting tired or without cramping up, that was important to me. So in high school, I stepped and did cross country just for fun, basically, just to stay in shape,
man.
Which I'm sure a lot of you guys did.
It's like the worst part of soccer, running.
No, I didn't even think about that doing not for fun.
Yeah, I mean, it is the worst part of soccer, but it is the most important thing about soccer is being able to run. Right. You see these people in the World Cup just recently, these old players like Luka Modric or some of these other 35 plus years old, and they're, getting 10K a game and stuff. So running is very, very important in the game if you want to be successful. And so for me, when I was younger, I took that in and I understood where there were teammates of mine, friends of mine that were like, hated running. Like only when I have the ball do I want to run. And it's like, that's fine. But for me, it was something like, I need to be able to, run a lot, especially, off the ball, especially in my position as a midfielder. So I did that. And then in college, my first year, I came in a couple times off the bench and in the midfield, but I think so that my freshman year I had 5 assists and I think a goal or something. I forgot what you read out, but I came in as a right back, so like an outside back for Matthew Zagulis, who was a senior and our captain that year, but he suffered an injury. And
Ziggy,
I just think it might
have been
not
an
trying
ankle.
to take a shot, but it's always the ankle. I know it's the always ankle.
It might have been an ankle. Yeah. Well, I don't know. We might have to.
This was the tipping point. Ziggy got hurt, right? Yeah. And this catapulted your professional career.
Thanks, Ziggy.
Because like now at Louisville, I play outside back, and I'd never done that before except for this freshman year in college. It was the only other experience I've had at outside back. But there was, like you said, my Wikipedia page, you read all these things, but it definitely hasn't been easy to be where I'm at. There was, right after college, like you see that I didn't become a pro till 2015, but I finished college in 2011. So there was 4 years of me, because I wanted to be a pro as soon as I finished college, but I never was able to get there. I went to combines, I went to tryouts, I paid a lot of money to fly to different places for 3 days, and I ended up figuring out that at a lot of these combines, they already kind of have, the players picked out before they even go. So it's more of a money making thing. And
Would
so
you say there's some pretty serious hype around specific players, like people that are good, obviously.
oh yeah,
But then you're competing with, you might be just as good, but or even better in some cases, but there's just a lot of hype around specific players.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go ahead and say this, but in my PDL days with Seattle Sounders, I played one official game, and even though I trained with them for 3 years, it wasn't until the very last year, which I forgot what year it was, if it was 2012 or maybe even 2013, but I only played one official PDL game with them. And the 2 years prior, I was driving to what's it called? Sumner, Washington.
Yeah.
So at that time, right after
from Mount Vernon, right?
Yeah, at that time from college, I was working at Mount Vernon High School as like a bilingual instructor, and so I would go work a full day, and then as soon as the day was over, I'd go home, make something to eat, and then I'd leave for Sumner so I didn't get stuck in traffic. And that was a tough time for me because I was driving so much 3 times a week to train, and I never would get, called into the lineup for the weekend. And going back to your point, where there are players that, that they were focused on, and absolutely there was. The PDL team, the Sounders PDL team, were flying players in from different parts of, the U.S. that were going to these top universities for them to play on this team. For what I'm thinking was so that the first team coaches and stuff like that can have a good look at them.
Yep.
And so I was busting my ass a lot, spending a lot of money on gas, a lot of effort going to training and working my ass off, and never really got to train. So that part really sucked, but I stuck with it because I wasn't playing, but I realized that I was training with really good players, and that was going to make me better in the long term. So I stuck with it for 3 years, and finally, I got a game in, and it wasn't my best game. I know I was nervous as shit. It was in was in Oregon, and I remember I was going to be the starting 6, and I just wanted to play safe. And that was my whole thing going into that game, was like, I'm going to play safe. I'm going to get the ball and just pass it back to somebody and try to keep possession of the ball. Whereas that's not really my type of game. I'm more of a risk taker. And I think that's where my stats of like getting assists comes from, because I will do the risky pass from time to time, and sometimes it won't come off. But that's also a reason why I try to be the fittest player on the field, so that if I do make a mistake, maybe I can run back and help defend.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So yeah, that time was tough. And then, like I said, I went to combines and tryouts. And
how many combines do you think?
I did,
just to give some context here.
I did 3.
Okay.
3, and then 2 tryouts, like open tryouts.
How did you select what combines to go to? Right, I'm sure there's hundreds, right, all across the United States, and globally too.
Yeah.
I mean, how did you select which ones to go to?
So there was I looked up like soccer combines, and there was like 4 companies that had like a lot of stuff online about them, and one was like Soccer Visa, and the one I went with was called PSC, like Pro Soccer Consulting. And I chose it because one of my ex-teammates, Gibson Bardsley, he had gone to one of these combines. And so I was like, okay, well, my friend has actually gone to one of them. And, he said it was a pretty good situation. So I went. The first one I went to, 3 days. You go and you basically warm up with a group of players, and then they sign you to a team, and you play 2 games, basically. Not full 90-minute games, but you just play like 2 30-minute halves 2 separate times during the day. And so I did that, and I got no phone calls, nothing afterwards. So then and that first one was in San Diego. So nothing came of it. Came back, started working at the high school again, and started searching for new ones, or if they were going to have any more. And then found one in Las Vegas, which I went to. Got no interest from no teams, but the organization PSC liked to pick players from each of the combines that they produced and make like a squad to travel internationally and play in a couple games. And so they picked me up for the team, and we went to Sweden for 15 days to play 5 games. So I flew to Sweden, and I forgot what year this was.
A lot of games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
pretty exhausted after that.
Yeah, I actually got injured after the 3rd game, my groin, but like I had paid so much money. I was already there. Like I I was popping ibuprofen. I was putting a brace on. Like I was.
So they're not flying you to Sweden.
No.
You're flying yourself to
paying-
Sweden, because I think that's important
You're
for
paying
people to hear
everything.
too.
You're
right?
paying everything. The only thing they.
So they're inviting you
Yeah.
to pay money to
Yeah.
go with them.
They had the structure, meaning like this is where we're going to stay at. This is like, what we have to offer, but this is going to cost this much.
Right. Here's the opportunity, but
Yeah.
here's the cost. And
Yeah.
you basically gotta pay this, or we'll pick someone else.
Yeah, exactly. And so, money that I had saved, I said, yeah, let's do it. And like I was saying, in the third game, I got hurt. But being there with 2 more games left, paying so much money, I knew I had to suck it up and try to do my best with what I could. And I remember it was my right groin that was just, I didn't pull it completely, but I strained it. And it was something where like, passing with the inside of my foot did not feel good, like whipping a ball.
And that's like, for people that don't know soccer, like that's probably the place that you hit, like pass the ball with 90% of the time. You like need the inside of your foot. That's a pretty important place.
Mm-hmm.
One thing, just before you go on with that part of the story, you just talked about so many like basically no's.
Oh yeah.
Someone not calling you, someone saying, hey, if you don't pay for this, we'll pick somebody else. That's like, this could be a no.
Yeah.
And you kept going. And I think what I've seen a lot with many people is they get one no and they go, okay. But there's something about how you're wired, how you're hardwired, where you go, no, great. That just means that you didn't see me in the light that I know I can play in.
Yeah.
Tell me about that confidence and that belief in yourself to take those no's and go, it's just not, you didn't see me in the right light.
Well, that's exactly what you're saying, the right light. And that's one thing I realized from the beginning, because there was people that I thought were, like really good friends of mine and people I looked up to that were like, maybe soccer is just not your thing. Maybe that college was, the most you were going to be able to do, which was fine, that they say that. But obviously for me, it sucks to hear. But it's something I've always wanted to do and I always wanted to do. So I just, like you said, when I was getting these no's, I was like, well, from me, my experience of watching like football, it's all about, being in the right moment, the right setting. Like there could be coaches that think I'm terrible, even in my league could think I'm a shit player.
Yeah.
But the coach that I have right now probably thinks I'm really good. So
that's all you need.
and that's all you need. And that's how I felt when I was doing through this process. It's like, okay, maybe there's, friends of mine that don't think I can do it, but maybe there's some that do. And I know I can do it. I've been around it. I've played against some players that are currently playing in that level, and I just don't see much of a difference. I just feel like I haven't gotten that opportunity. I haven't gotten my foot in the door. I haven't had the right person see me. And so with a lot of no's, I kept my confidence of like, something's going to happen. Like I'm pushing through this. Something has to come up. And there was a moment where I stopped and I was like, listen, I'm going to give this maybe one more year. And if not, then I just didn't find the right window. But luckily for me, that the opportunity when I thought I was in was when I played in Tulsa in 2015. But then quickly I was in a high, I was there, and then my contract didn't picked up. Nobody else wanted me in the league. So then I dropped back down to the PDL, which is not a professional league. But I made the most of it. And I said, okay, I'm just this coach that called me to play in this team really wants me on this team. He said he'll make me fall in love with the game again. He said I'll love the football that we're trying to play there. So I went and I way out of my comfort zone, Mississippi. Like I'd never been there. It was this small town that the only thing that people did there was
eat barbecue
and play soccer, like there was not much to do. The closest city I think was Jackson, Mississippi, like 45 minutes away. And I remember we stayed at this housing that down the street, maybe like 2 blocks was, I forgot what the university was called, but University of Mississippi something. And they just had a huge like rec center. And so we had access to the rec center, and then the Kroger was just across the street. So like my life there was wake up, rec center, grocery store, home, rec center, grocery store. And then that's it. It was just soccer all day. But that coach there liked what I did. And he's like, I got a friend in the league, I'll call him up. I know he has like tryouts like here soon. And that was James O'Connor at Louisville City. And so he got me into this invite only tryout. And so I went up there in January, and it was fucking snowing. And, but I was like, I'm just going to, go out there and make the most of it, which is my approach for other combines and stuff were a lot different. Those were I put a lot of pressure on myself, and I was always nervous because I wanted to impress so bad.
So you're like playing a little bit more
I'm
conservatively.
playing more
you weren't taking those
conservative,
risks,
not
you-
taking
yeah,
the risks,
yeah.
not playing free. Like, and when I look back at it, like people play a lot better when you're not really thinking about what's the worst that can happen. You know, if you're just playing free and like you're doing when you're a kid and you're just, you know, just having fun basically. And that's what my approach at Louisville when I went to that tryout and I got selected. And so that's how it started.
So before we jump into the Louisville signing, and just something that I'm kind of hearing you talk through this, it's incredible to hear the story, right? Because if you're a young athlete right now, it doesn't matter what sport, right? You see these professional athletes and right, just like we did, you read the Wikipedia page, right? You read the stats and you think it must be so easy, right?
Yeah.
But hearing your story, what I'm thinking is investment in yourself, right? And it wasn't just a monetary investment. I mean, that was big, right? You're flying yourself to Sweden, Las Vegas, San Diego. It's also an emotional investment in yourself, right? You had friends, family members telling you, hey man, you're going to hang up the boots yet? Like you're going to give up on this, right? You ended your college career really on top, right? We read that. And then it was a 3-year kind of gap of trying to figure out, you're going to Mississippi, Tulsa, Oklahoma. I mean, kind of in the middle of nowhere, right? Knowing that your chance is coming. I guess, kind of to piggyback off what Leo asked, like, that confidence is just, I think, incredible to hear, incredible to know. But I think that a lot of, players out there, that whether they're college players, whether they're amateur players, right, they think it's easy, right? But right here, we're hearing you have to make that monetary and emotional investment in yourself, right? And have that confidence that you're going to make it to the next level. And it was that one connection, right? That coach in Mississippi that knew James O'Connor, right, in Louisville, that made that connection, that private, trial that you got. And, it just happened, right? So I guess, walk us through the, leading up to that, you're playing in Mississippi, you go to Louisville, you have that training or that trial. Walk us through the process from there to signing that contract. Walk us through the emotions and also walk us through what does that look like, right? I've never been in a room signing a professional contract.
You haven't?
No.
Sorry.
Yeah. Tipping Point just signed me to a professional contract, but walk us through that. Like, was there immense relief? Was there immense stress now? Like, holy shit, I'm at the next level now, right? That you're not even thinking about, like, I'm so relieved I can chill now. Is it like now the anxiety and stress is back? Or was it like, holy shit, I proved those people wrong. I'm finally at ease. I signed this contract. Now I can get back to doing what I love. Walk us through that, because I think that's a huge moment of 3 years of just flying yourself everywhere, right? Having these emotional letdowns, right? Some of these ups, downs, signing that contract, right? I don't know if your family was there. Like, walk us through that, because I think that's a huge moment.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna go back a little bit, because when you talk about the emotional, like, let's call it suffering I went through, but like the darkest time for me was after Tulsa not getting picked up again before Mississippi. So I got a message from the head coach saying they're not picking up my option. They're not offering me a new contract. And this was maybe a couple days before Christmas.
Good timing.
Yeah, great timing. Some people getting their calls and stuff like late October, mid-November, but I got mine really late. So I had thought, oh, I'm getting re-signed.
Right, it's going to happen.
Yeah, because like what, like, but I got that right before, like, Christmas, like you're there with your family, it's a happy time. So I tried not to look too much into it, because obviously there was Christmas, but right after that, it was a very dark time, because I had an agent at the time, and he was not doing much for me except for calling me and saying, yeah, I signed this, I helped get this player signed to this team. I got this other player
telling you
signed
about
to this
other
thing.
players. You're like, what
and
about
I'm like,
me,
well,
man?
what about me? And so nothing ever happened. And so then I was without a club, without an idea of what I was going to do. I was working at the high school again, and I was quite miserable, because all I could think about was like, what's next? I emotionally didn't even want to research combines and stuff like that, or look into that. And then one of my teammates from Tulsa got picked up by that Mississippi team, because that coach had seen him play, really liked him. And my teammate from Tulsa told the coach, I was like, yeah, I really love playing with this guy. His name's Oscar. He's not on a team right now. You should bring him here. And kind of showed him some video or some tape or whatever. And the coach called me, and then he said, you really, there's nothing to do here. other than soccer, but you'll love it. I'll make you fall in love with soccer again, whatever. But so anyway, I played Mississippi, and then I went to the tryout in Louisville. And so, like I said, my mentality was different going into that 3-day thing with Louisville. It was more like, okay, I'm just going to go and have fun, And I think that the reason that my mentality was like that was because Mississippi was so fun. That coach made football enjoyable. Like I played out of position in that, and on that team, I played left mid, which I've never done before.
Yeah, what position haven't you played? I guess goalie.
Center back. But
I mean, in practice,
I guess.
Yeah, we switched a couple times in practice.
But like, I just enjoyed football at that time, and I was lucky enough that season, PDL season ended maybe 2 months or a month and a half before the tryout. So like I was still kind of in shape. I maintained shape. I came here, and I think I started playing indoor with you guys here and stayed in shape. And then that was actually
2013. It's on your Wikipedia, Bellingham United.
Bellingham United. I read my Wikipedia.
Bellingham United's only Wikipedia mention is because of Oscar, so I love it.
On the map.
Yeah.
But like I stayed in shape here at playing indoor, and then I went to this tryout. First, I went to visit my girlfriend at the time, who lived in Houston, and spent I want to say 3 weeks with her, and it was really hot there, so it was great for doing fitness and working out there. And then from there, I went to that 3-day thing, and so I just went and had fun with it. The whole tryout was at center mid, so like the whole time I was there, I played center mid, and I thought I did well. I was having fun, and I had a really good connection with one of the forwards that I knew was going to get signed because he had spoken about it. But I go back to my girlfriend at the time in Houston right after that tryout, and I think like 2 days or 3 days go by, and we're just she's not really asking me how I'm feeling about it, but I remember I'm just like, I mean, it's whatever. I went and I had fun, and I don't regret anything that I did there. Like I literally went and just had a good time. I put no pressure on myself. I just it was snowing, and like a lot of people were complaining that it was too cold. Like, what the fuck? Like, how are we going to like do a proper tryout here? And I was just like, I decided
I'm from the Pacific Northwest, dude. This is
I decided not to complain. I remember those cold days of driving to Vancouver, Canada, and training in October, November during college, really cold at 10 p.m. So I was just like, this is nothing, this is fine.
Yeah.
But I was just hanging out with my girlfriend, and I wasn't too worried about it. I wasn't sure I was ever going to get a call, but we went to go eat one day. I picked her up for lunch, and we went to go eat at this Indian restaurant, and we were eating. And I get this phone call, and it's like, hey, it's James O'Connor. Do you have a second? And I was like, oh, shit. Like, I put my phone down, and I was like, I need to take this. I got to go outside. So I went outside of this Indian restaurant, and he's like, hey, Oscar, this is James O'Connor from Louisville. Just wanted to call you and say we were really, pleased with what we saw from you at the tryout. I just kind of wanted to let you know that unfortunately we are already filled at center mid in that position, but we think you're a great player. However, there's an opening at outside back, at left back, that we think that if you put your mind to it and you're willing to learn, you'd be great for it. And so as soon as he said that, like, it made me feel like full of confidence, because the positions where I tried out were completely taken, but the fact that he called me and told me, like, I think you would be great for this position, like, you played really well, whatever, I immediately was like, before he even gave me a contract offer or anything, like a term sheet, I was like, yeah, I mean, for sure, I want to play, and I want to be back in the league, and let's do it. And he's like, okay, no problem. Like, I'll send you a term sheet here in the next couple minutes, and we'll go from there. And I was like, shit,
it's happening.
Yeah, I hung up. I went back in the restaurant. I remember I sat down and I started smiling, and my girlfriend's like, you didn't even clean your teeth? Like, I had like broccoli. I had like broccoli that, like
some non-bread in your.
Yeah. I was like,
at least you weren't FaceTime.
That's what I said. I was like, I wasn't on FaceTime. I just was talking to him. But no, it was a really good moment for me, because, like I said, I wasn't really like thinking much on it. I just remember when my girlfriend was asking about it, I was just like, no, I mean, my whole attitude towards it was, I just was having a good time. Like, I just went and had a good time. Like, the people there were actually really, really nice that I met. So everything about it was just awesome. So,
and it's a huge compliment too. I mean,
yeah,
as much as it feels at first kind of like a diss to say, hey, this is the position you tried out for. We don't need, like, this is already filled. We have someone else for this position. Here's something else.
yeah,
It's actually a big compliment. It goes to show that they didn't see you play in that position, but they're like, we know you
super
can.
dynamic.
We know that you're dynamic. We know you're a good player. We can tell that you can fill this position.
yeah.
Something I kind of want to go back to just really briefly is betting on yourself and taking advice from people. This kind of concept of, you've always been really good at filtering advice.
Yeah.
Like, I probably threw a bunch of shit advice at you at college. I'm like, hey, you should try this. And you're like, I'm just going to keep playing my position. You stay in goal and do your thing, right, man? But like, that is a huge skill to be able to go, oh, that's actually important information. And that's actually someone that I should listen to. And that's not.
Yeah.
How do you filter all of these people being like, hey, Oscar, you got let down on these 2 combines. This person didn't call you back. Maybe you should just go, do something else. And you're like, thanks. Like, tell me about your filter. Tell me about that Oscar filter of like advice, because
it's a tough one.
It
because,
works.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough one because it also, there's like a fine line between being like arrogant about it, you know, like not willing to be coachable, let's say. And I've always thought of myself as somebody that is coachable, that, somebody could tell me that I need to do something a certain way. But I always think about what people say to me. So it's not just like, I'll listen to you say it and I'm going to do it. It's like, I'll hear what you say and then I'll think about it. And, I'll try and put myself in your shoes and say, oh, okay, maybe, yeah, I need to be here, or yeah, I need to do that. But in terms of like the filtering the advice, it just pissed me off that people didn't like believe in me. I was just like, well, why are you wanting me to quit? Like there are people that I feel probably wanted to be pro and quit too soon. And I know for a fact that there's coaches that I have had in the past that have always told me, like, don't hang up your boots until like you can't run anymore, because it's like the best time in your life. So when I heard all these things and I heard the negative feedback, the negative comments, I filtered those out because I just was like, no, this, like, I was in disbelief. I was like, no, this can't just be it. Like just playing college soccer. Like, yeah, it was a good time, but I feel like there's still more to be had here. And so I really don't know, when I think about it, how I chose to just disregard these people. Yeah. I just know the original like feeling was just kind of like, whoa, like I thought you were on my side here, which they can still be. And they just maybe just said something in their initial thought, which is fine, like I said, but.
Well, I guess, yeah, and through those times, like, who is your rock, right? Like, obviously you're having these thoughts inside, right? You're filtering some of this advice, maybe this negative, feedback or positive feedback. I mean, was it internal? You were just like, no, I'm going to persevere. I'm going to keep going. Or, family, friends, who is your rock that was like, dude, you can do this? Like, because I think there's this balance between natural ability, right? Skill and hard work and perseverance, right? I think you've got both, but I think that the professional game, doesn't matter what sport you're in, everyone has the skill, right? Everyone's a good soccer player or a good basketball player or whatever. I think it's the ones that have that perseverance and that hard work that actually make it, right? If you would have quit after Tulsa, right, this story would be a lot different, right? But you didn't. You knew that there was going to be this scenario, this situation that you would break through. I guess, did you have a rock? Who was your rock? Was it your family? Was it a friend? Was it a coach? Was it, I mean, who supported you through that? Because I know it's hard to get through a lot of those life decisions by yourself. Or maybe you did. And you were in remote Mississippi and Oklahoma, and were you FaceTiming family? Were you call, like, walk us through that?
The cereal section in Kroger was all the decisions were made, right?
Was it other players? Like, who helped you get through those 3 years? Because 3 years is a long time. I mean, this is not 3 weeks of getting let down. I mean, this is, and especially that call, I felt it in my heart, right? When he said, hey, your position, the center mid, like, I felt my heart sink, right? And then I felt my heart go back up when he's like, but we got this left back position. I mean, this is just a roller coaster of emotions. So back to my original, before I rambled, like, who is your rock? Who is your kind of saving grace that you would just resort back to and help you kind of get through this?
So honestly, like, if I was to just pinpoint a few people, it would be myself, but it would also be my girlfriend at the time.
Yeah.
My girlfriend at the time, like most of my venting went to her. As hard as it is for me to say this, but like my parents weren't necessarily that rock that I was hoping they would be,
Right.
which sucks. Like they were like one of the, you know, the ones I thought were going to be, you know, always 100% on my side, but they're just maybe like, they were one of the ones that were like, maybe it's just, you know, not meant to be, which really sucks, them being your parents. And I hate talking about it, but I'm just being completely honest. But my girlfriend at the time was somebody that like, listen, just, you know, there's people doubting you and stuff, but you know it within yourself that you got this, and I believe in you, and you're going to push through. Like, well, if you need help paying for some of this stuff, we'll do it. We'll, you know, stuff like that. And so, because I thought about everything, like, I'm not going to have enough money to do this. If I travel there for the tryout, I'm not going to have enough money to spend on food. Like, I'm not going to, you know, and I hated asking people for money. So, but she helped me a lot emotionally, getting past those barriers or those moments of doubt. Like, but what if I go here and I can't do this? It was, she did a really good job of helping me push past those things.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, because
Powerful.
it's super powerful, because I think, you know, I think those support systems come in different lights in different ways, and you know, you did it right. I mean, let's get to that happy moment, right? You signed that contract, right? You got that call. You know, I guess walk us through that process too. I mean, not a lot of people have signed professional contracts, been through that emotional roller coaster. Kind of back to, you know, what I alluded to earlier. What was the feeling when you signed that contract? You put pen to paper. Was it relief? Was it like, holy shit, the work starts now? You know, motivation? Was it a mix? How was that feeling when you put that pen to paper?
It was, so I got an email with like the documents, and so I had to print them out myself and then read them over and sign them. But the feeling was just like, okay, like, here we go, let's make the most of it. And while I was reading it and about to sign it, I thought about my experience my first year in the league with Tulsa, and how there were little things about me that I probably didn't do right in terms of like mentally, in terms of like, I thought I had my foot in the door and I was good to go. And maybe I wasn't a great professional in terms of like the way my body language was, or the way I communicated like appropriately and effectively to the coach, stuff like that, little things, you know, like, and so I thought about all these things, and my experience with getting signed with Tulsa was also very like amazing. The coach came up to me after the first day of the combine and said, hey, I want you to be the first player signed for Tulsa. Like, I really like you, like, let's sign you. But then like, after that moment, that was a very, you know, high moment. It wasn't that great after that. Yeah. But like this one, the way that phone call went, and like you said, you know, you heard that, but unfortunately, and so, yeah, like,
right, you were waiting for that but, right?
Yeah.
And you hear that, and it's just like,
but he brought me back up and told me, look, if you're willing to learn. So as soon as that moment, and as soon as I had that piece of paper and I was signing, I was like, listen, I don't give a fuck who's playing left back. I'm going to win that position. Like, because obviously when you sign, you know, players for a team, you try to get 2 players per position, and, you know, right. And so I was like, I don't care who this person is. I'm going to go into preseason and I'm going to be the fittest guy on the team, and I'm going to outwork this other guy that's on left back so that I could play. And so the rest of the time, because that was in January when the tryout was, like early January, and preseason started in February, like mid-February. So I had maybe like 2-3 weeks left to kind of really prepare. So I just, as soon as I signed that, I got after it. I went and like started doing like sprints and hill sprints and running in the middle of the day in Houston, which is not ideal. But
on that, most people that have not done athletic exercise or have not been an athlete would say, oh, it's too hot outside or it's too cold outside. And you look at it and go, hell yeah, this is going to make me stronger. What's wrong with you, man? You look at it and you go, this is going to make me stronger. That's awesome. So you looked at the heat and you're like, cool, this is going to make me even fitter.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think, you know, if I can suffer through this humidity with, you know, feeling like you're about to pass out when you're running, like, yeah, I'm going to try it. And hopefully if I get through that, I can get through anything else. And that's one thing I really appreciated and liked about James O'Connor once I got there, was like his how important your brain is, like how like you can do a lot more than you think you can if you are able to control your brain and able to get past these barriers. And so like I was already kind of in that mindset, like, yeah, fuck this humidity, I'm gonna go do it. And James was the same. And so I really respected that guy as soon as I got there, because he did little pranks on us, like, you know, cutting the time short so that you like you think you're running at a shit pace, but you're actually going really fast. Like he would do stuff like that. But no, it was I don't know.
So, and I think our job is to kind of dissect what you're saying, and I think that call and that conversation, what I'm hearing is, when you heard them say, hey, that position is full, right, at center mid, right? I mean, like I said, my heart kind of sunk, but then, hey, we've got this position, you're going to have to work your ass for it. Do you feel like if that phone conversation would have gone differently, like this per se, hey, we're going to sign you, Oscar, you're a badass center mid. Do you think that your work ethic and you're like, holy shit, I got to really put my mind to this, because you were going into this knowing you had to learn a new position and compete, right? You'd always played center mid your whole life. Mm-hmm. If that phone conversation had gone different, like, hey, Oscar, you tried out, we think you're great. Similar to the Tulsa one. You're the bee's knees, man. We want you to come out and play. Versus, hey, we're full at this position, but we like you. We think you're a hard worker. You're a great soccer player. We need you to learn this position.
The door's cracked, but not open.
Right. Yeah. It's not fully right.
Fuck, here we go again.
Do you feel like you would have sat back a little bit, maybe not worked as hard? Like, hey, I'm going in at center mid position. I got this handled. Versus I have to learn a new position. I'm going to be on a new team, right? I got to really prove myself. Do you think that was kind of a moment where that phone call really kind of directed your work ethic going into Louisville?
I think it did in a little bit, but I think if I would have gotten signed as a center mid, like you're saying, I still would have tried to do as much as I can to play. Because in Tulsa, I was very, disheartened and disappointed that I didn't play as much as I wanted to. I played for a coach who played a style of soccer that wasn't ideal for a center mid who likes to be on the ball all the time. It was a style of soccer where, the defenders get the ball. He wants to get it from point A to point B as fast as he can. So he kicks it, you lump it to the striker, and then the guys in the middle of the field are more to like pick up the knockdowns and just,
Right.
So it was a lot like collegiate soccer.
I guess you could say.
Athletics, diagonal ball.
Yeah. And for me as a center mid, I want to be kind of like the dictator of the game, like who controls the tempo of the game. If it's going too fast, to slow it down. If it's going too slow, so like pick up the pace. But so going into this, I was like, I want to play more. Like I actually want to prove myself, because I don't think I got to prove myself in Tulsa very much. So I think I still would have worked as hard, but probably not that whole conversation of like, we think you'd be good at this position if you put your mind to it, if you're willing to learn, just those words that were spoken kind of like picked me up and were like, all right, like this guy believes I can do the job. Let me prove it to him.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. So let's now go in. You come into Louisville, right? Like we keep saying, not many people have been a professional athlete. I mean, what does the day-to-day look like? I mean, you've now been there 6 years, going on your 7th year. What's the glory? What's the tough parts? What's the reality? Right? Like, what's the schedule? Yeah. I mean, right, day one, you enter, and over the past 6 years, I mean, you guys started, right? You won 2 championships back-to-back. You guys haven't won one since then. But you've been runners-up, semifinalists, but, you've been in it long enough now, 6 years. Like, walk us through day-to-day, what are the highs? What are the lows? What are the realities for people that, a lot of people have not sat in that locker room, right? Signed that contract, lived a professional athlete lifestyle. So what is that like?
So I got signed in 2017, and like you said, we won back-to-back championships, 2017, 2018. But before that, 16 and 15, which 2015 was the first year they came into the league. That first year, they made it to the semifinals and lost. The following year, same thing, semifinals and lost. So this team had already had this like winning attitude, mentality, if you say, if that's the word to use. But then I got on the team and I felt it from the very first moment I got there. Everything was about winning, whether it was a fitness drill, whether it was a rondo, whether it was, anything. It was about winning. And if you didn't care enough about winning, then you weren't going to play, or you were going to get kicked off. And ever since I've been there, a lot of things have changed because, like I told you guys earlier, we used to play at a baseball field. And now we have our own proper soccer specific stadium, and we got a training facility now. So now we have everything there, really nice grass fields, a cafeteria, a gym, a lot more perks, like cryotherapy, chiropractors, all this stuff. Whereas the first year we didn't have as much, the first year I was there. But what it's like to be there is you have to have this winning mentality, this mentality of not having excuses, where you have to wake up and be the best that you can be, because everyone else is going to be the best they can be. And if you don't keep up, then you're not going to play. And everyone there wants to play. And so when it's like that, it changes so much of your lifestyle, because you can't go out and drink the night before and expect to wake up and be ready to go like all the other players, because maybe they're not doing that. You have an occasion players that can do that. They're just specimens that they can black out and then wake up and go perform the next day. But I'm not like that.
Yeah.
Nope.
But it's the culture there. I'm going to use the word culture because that's what that's what we've built there, is a winning culture. No excuses. You play with integrity. You play the best of your abilities every single day, because not only is that going to help you, but it'll help the entire team. So, but even with that, a football team is almost like a family, like a brotherhood of players, but you're also competing against people for a position, a job, which is hard to do. And sometimes there's clubs where that you can have players competing for a position and they just completely don't like each other. But one of the main things that I really appreciated about James was when I got there, I signed everything. Well, actually, no. Before I had to sign, I forgot to mention this. I got a personality test sent to me. So I had this online personality test that I had to fill out and go through.
Had you done one of those before?
No.
Yeah.
So I had to fill this out, and then I sent it to him, and then he sent me the contract.
Interesting.
And so
you wanted to see if it was a good culture fit.
Yeah. So that,
right?
And so then after that did that and happened, and I was there, I realized that was the most important thing for James, was making sure you had good human beings in the locker room. Because if you're trying to do something and accomplish something and really get after it, to the point where you might try to fight somebody or get mad at somebody during practice, but then as soon as it's over, you're going to go and be friends with them. He wanted to make sure that everybody in there was going to be capable of doing something, that had the right, personality to be able to do something like that. So that's what's amazing about this team, because I've been in other teams and I've witnessed other locker rooms where people don't like each other, and that really fucks with the entire dynamic of the team. And so the day-to-day is just basically waking up, going into training, getting breakfast. Now,
what times are these at? Give us the real nitty gritty.
Okay.
Let's live your life here.
Okay, I'm gonna go off base this last season. So our report time is 9:20. So we've got to be in at 9:20. But
does that mean 9 o'clock? Is it one of those situations where if you're not on time, you're late?
You're gonna get fined if you're not there by 9:20. As soon as it hits 9:20, fine. Monetary fine. But treatment is at 8:30. So if you need treatment, you have a knock, you complained about something the day before, and you're not in treatment at 8:30, you're gonna get fined, because you don't just go to practice and say, "Oh, my knee hurts," or "Oh, my ankle or my calf is strained." I mean, you can, but if tomorrow morning you're not in there at 8:30, you're gonna get fined, and you're gonna have a stern talking to. So I try to get in there 8:30, even if I don't have treatment, just because I like to get in there a little bit early and kind of go enjoy my breakfast in the cafeteria with some of the guys, have conversation, and then.
What's a typical breakfast?
So now, I mean, it used to be just eat at home, but now since we have this facility, it's we have this, like, we have a really good setup. We have this chef who, his name is Chris, and his staff, and he makes, you know, scrambled eggs, potatoes, pancakes, bacon, turkey bacon, sausage, and infinity sausage, whatever. If you want an omelet, they'll make you an omelet, and then they have like a yogurt bar with fruit, and then oatmeal, and carrot juice, orange juice, apple juice, coffees, anything you want.
Yeah.
And so go have breakfast, and then after breakfast, I usually go back into the locker room, change, and go do like prehab exercises just to get kind of things fired up.
Mobility.
Yeah, mobility stuff.
Some like,
not every day I do it,
Yeah.
but when I'm feeling like I didn't get best sleep the night before, I'll go in there and do some of that stuff. If not, I'll just make a cup of coffee, go sit in the locker room, chat with some of my teammates, watch some ping pong. We have this ping pong table right in the center of the locker room that everybody just gets involved, you know. And so I'll go there, or I'll just walk into the locker or the training room and just chat with people getting treatment. And so then once it hits 9:40, we have a player meeting. So like a team meeting. We'll go into the film room, and if it's Monday, we'll go over the game. Like we'll probably have like a 45 to an hour meeting of clips from the game, what we did well, what we did wrong, what we could improve in. If it's a Tuesday, Wednesday, we have drone footage of our training session. Like, this is what happened in the session. This is what we could have done better, worse, like stuff like that. So there's always a meeting. And occasionally we'll have a meeting where we just go in there and crack some jokes. The head coach cracks some jokes. We just chat about nothing. There's no video to be seen. And then we just go back out there. He gives us 20 to 25 minutes after the meeting to kind of, if some people need some prehab before training, to go do it, especially when it's like the weather's really cold. And then we go out to train, and then train from about 10:30 to 11:30, 11:45. We don't do very long sessions. It's kind of just short and precise, like not a lot of rest in between. Everything's laid out. We have two basically grass fields where it's kind of shaped like an L. And we just the staff does a good job of setting everything up. So it's a quick transition to another drill. We get the session in, and then we get like 10 minutes on our own afterwards for anything you need. Like if people want to work on free kicks or dribbling or whatever it is. And then after that, people go in and shower. Occasionally there's like, he'll write up on the board, like a defensive meeting in the film room or an offensive meeting in the film room. Some people will go into the gym and do a workout, because we have like our fitness coach or like a sports science coach has like us do 4 workouts a week in the 7 days. You need to do these 4 workouts. It's usually like a length, strength, like leg day, lower body day, a power day, a plyo day, and then just an upper body day. So we'll go knock it out occasionally. I myself sometimes don't like to do that. I like to go home and then come back later in the afternoon and do it. But yeah, some people do that, shower up, and then we'll have lunch. The chef makes incredible food. It literally is incredible. It'll be obviously, there's always 2 protein options, whether it's lamb or fish or chicken. I'm serious. I'm serious.
Billionaire, Mr. Billionaire.
It is so good.
That's why you got a blue check on your Instagram.
Oh my God. Oh man, it's dangerous, because I love food to the point where if I just love something and I'm full, I will continue to eat it just because it's so good.
Yeah.
And it's not good. I have that problem. Like I'll walk out of there and I'm like, oh my God, my stomach hurts.
And you got to train in an hour or 2.
Oh yeah. But so like I've learned the hard way to eat less, even though I'm enjoying this food. But yeah, so people have lunch and then people go home. Some people stay, play ping pong a little bit. But yeah, then I go home. I usually go to a coffee shop, do a little bit of reading, and then go home, hang around. And then, like I said, later, like 5:30, I go to the gym, stop at the grocery store on the way home, and cook my dinner when I get home, because that's basically the only meal I really need to be in charge of, since we get breakfast and lunch paid for.
Not too bad.
Yeah.
But let's talk about age.
All right.
I mean, you're an old geezer now. Let's just call it what it is.
I really am.
You know, when we were playing in college, you know, you for soccer at least, like there is this like age spectrum, right?
Yeah.
And there's this like, hey, if we can find somebody that's 16 years old that's like just as fast as you are and can pass the ball somewhat, like we have more of a lifespan of that person, right?
Yeah.
What does the concept of age even mean to you? What does it even, does it matter to you?
It really doesn't matter to me because, like, to me, like, yes, I'm 33 years old, but there's players that are younger than me, and I like to go with the age with how like a person like looks, meaning like how they look when they're running. Like, does it look like they're suffering when they're running? Does it look like, you know, like
there's a lot of people that look like they're suffering when they're running.
Absolutely.
You should see Leo run.
And there's like,
oh my god.
And there's
It's a
like,
hobble.
you know, so I feel like obviously these last 2 years I've struggled with injury, but I finally got past it. But I still feel like my lungs can take a lot of running, my legs can take a lot of running and cutting and all that. But there's players that are younger that have gone through 5-6 surgeries and they don't like, yeah, their age is 24, 25, but they're just not the same. And so for me, like in soccer, age is a big deal. Like once you hit 30s, you're considered an old player, and you know some coaches might see you as, you know, you're up there, so you know you might just be more of a mentor to like the younger guys and stuff like that. But for me, I look at my age as like, yeah, I'm older, but I mean I can still run and do everything that is required to do the job. So why does it really matter what my birth certificate says?
Yeah,
and you got more experience.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
You know, like a fine wine.
yeah. There we go.
Aging like a fine
Oscar.
wine.
Oh, the fine wine.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll I guess kind of just one, you know, big. I mean, we've talked through kind of your path, right? The struggles you had, the, you know, that 3-year gap of not signing a contract, right? Working towards that, you know, getting dropped by Tulsa, right? Signing for Louisville, winning the USL championship 2 years in a row.
Which
You
you
know,
scored in.
Huh?
Did you score a
Final?
free kick in the final? Or were you on
An
the end of the
assist.
free kick? You were.
I just put the ball in there, corner kick.
Oh yeah.
he just put the ball
I
in
just
there.
put it
Yeah.
in
He
the
just
box.
kicked it in the box.
And that's 2018.
But, you know, just anyone listening to this, I mean, it doesn't matter if they're, you know, a young soccer player that want to go pro, a young basketball player, you know, an entrepreneur, a stay-at-home mom, whatever it is, right? Anybody that is really facing these tipping points, right? And listening to your story, you know, a few of those, right? Getting that call from the Louisville coach, right? Getting dropped from a team, having your parents, you know, maybe say, hey, Oscar, is it time to hang up the boots, man?
Yeah.
Get a real job,
Yeah.
right? You know, you faced multiple tipping points that maybe you didn't even realize you were facing, and you persevered and all that. But what would be one piece of advice that you would give to somebody that's, you know, maybe about to face this sort of tipping point or has faced one? Like what has helped you get through these tipping points in your life and ultimately become a professional athlete?
Well, I've never been much of a person that like necessarily has a plan. You know, even like I'm planning a date with a girl, you know, I don't necessarily have a plan or something like that, you know. I've gotten a lot better at that now.
Well, look, flowers one day. This is crazy.
But I would say one of the pieces of advice is that not everything goes according to plan, and you have to be willing to adapt. And also like keep an open mind. Like for one thing that I specifically advice that I give to like soccer players, if I ever talk to one of them, is like, be willing to listen to advice from people. Be open-minded. You don't know anything. You don't know everything about football yet. No one does. I don't. People that are coaching don't. That's why they're always researching or searching for new answers on how to solve problems. It's just the game that we play, soccer, is just a free-flowing, and it's always changing. You don't know everything. And so I see a lot of players with a lot of potential now, like high school kids and stuff, but their attitudes are shit. Like they're just like, they think they know everything. They think because they can do a scissor and make somebody, they got it made. But it's like, dude, there's a lot more that goes into it. And if you're really serious about making it to the farthest level, you're gonna have to listen to people telling you need to run more or you need to do this more. So basically, it's just not everything goes according to plan, and be able to have an open mind about changes or the way you might need to approach something.
I love that. And I think, you know, you got through a lot in your life, your professional career, professionally, by keeping an open mind, right? And persevering and, you know, making sure that you stuck with it. Well, we want to thank you for, you know, coming out here. We know you're on your off season. We made it happen.
Potential COVID scare, but it's not.
Yeah. We got a Wikipedia.
The only man on earth. He's the last surviving non-COVID.
Yeah. We made it happen. And we super appreciate you hearing your story. I mean, right. We both, you know you through the soccer community, but it's incredible hearing your story, hearing, you know, what you went through to get to where you're at. Yeah. Like I said earlier in this, right. You read the Wikipedia, you read the stats on Louisville, and you don't see the effort and the struggles and everything, you run in hill sprints in Houston and in the humidity to get to where you're at, right?
What's like that picture, of the iceberg, that you always see? Everyone just sees
small
the
at the top, right?
And then everything at the bottom. And I try to tell my sisters about that stuff, and even like you said, other people. Yeah, there's a lot of people have stories.
Hey, 33-year overnight success. Yeah, that's what you are, man.
Yeah, it's that easy. Well, anyone that wants to find you on social, you got the blue check mark. Where can they find you?
I'm not private. Just give me a message, and it's not too.
Just search you, because I'm sure there's gonna be some young athletes that hear this and just love your story. Maybe want to reach out to you, give you a follow. I love your guys' walk-up photos when you're going to a game. Yeah. That's cool. You got the coat on. Yeah. You're infamous.
The boys
coat.
The boys like the winter wear. They like when it's the winter.
Boys like the winter wear.
They say that I love the winter weather, and it's true. I like to be able to throw on layers and stuff like that.
Coat, the infamous pea coat.
Swag. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, cool, man. Appreciate you coming down.
Yeah,
this was awesome hearing your story and just hearing everything you went through, and good luck on your 7th year. We hope that you guys take home that championship.
Take home that hardware.
This was fun.
Yeah,
of
course. So you guys make it to the final. We're flying out. Tipping point.
Yeah, we'll come out.
First expense on the tipping point.
We will come out on the tipping point card that doesn't exist yet.
I mean, I've told some of the boys, like, I don't know if you guys have heard of the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah.
I've told some of the boys, come out. We usually have a game around that weekend. Come out before, go to the game, and then go enjoy the Kentucky Derby.
Let's get to that 15,000. Let's make it loud out in the stadium.
Make it loud. Yeah. Well, episode 1 of season 1, you were the guinea pig, so we appreciate you joining us. Having a nice local cider here in the studio.
It's actually quite good. I finished it probably 10 minutes ago. Yeah.
I finished mine like instantly when you walked in.
Gotcha.
I was like, oh, college. But we appreciate you joining us. Thanks for joining us in episode 1.
Thank you.
Oscar Jimenez.
Thank you.
Boom.